Welcome to SAP SD Configuration. My name is Keith Melford, and I am your instructor. This lecture is about partner function, which is the sold to, shipped to, and other types of partners that you can see on the customer master, sales order, and other types of documents. Let's go look at an example in SAP. Here we are in SAP Home Screen. To see customer master, use T-code XD03. We're going to look at this sold to and the associated partners. We are looking at the sales area partner functions tab. We can see the types of partners related to this customer and the associated customer numbers. Notice that the sold to partner is the same customer that we're looking at, which is Big Store Corporate. The billed to and the payer have a different customer number. Oftentimes this happens because a customer has a different location that they want to pay all their bills from. And at the bottom we have a list of possible ship to locations. So sometimes we might be sending product to Big Store Corporate, sometimes we might be sending it to Big Store 1001, and sometimes 2002. So let's see how the partner master data helps build a sales order. The T-code to create a sales order is VA01. We're going to create a standard sales order. To begin, I can type in a sold to party here and press return. SAP is now asking, where do I want to send the product? We have three possibilities here, and if you remember from the customer master, there was 3 ship tos. So as you can see, SAP derived this list directly from the customer master. I will decide that we're going to send to the middle one. SAP took my choice and put it in here. Now let's go to the header and go to a tab that says Partners. We can see that this sales order has a bunch of partners, and that came from the customer master. Each of these partners serves a function in the sales order. So like the bill to tells us where to send the bill, and the ship to tells us where to send the product. Let's end this example. I'm not going to save it. Now let's go look at the configuration that drives this process. So go to T-code SPRO, click on SAP reference IMG. First thing I want to do is look at the configuration for customer account groups, which we did in the last lecture. So let's go to Logistics General, Business Partner, Customers, Control, then define account groups and field selection for customers. The customer I was reviewing was a sold to account group, and near the bottom we see a partner determination procedure of STAN. This partner determination procedure tells SAP what partners are allowed on this customer master. So this partner determination procedure applies to account group 0001, which is sold to. Let's compare to a ship to, which is 0002. Okay, so we see a procedure of WESR. What this means is the partners that are allowed on a sold to might be different than that on a ship to. So we're going to go explore what these procedures are. So let's go to Sales and Distribution, Basic Functions, Partner Determination, and Set up Partner Determination. Okay, so partners are allowed on the customer master, sales order header, and a bunch of other documents, and each one requires its own definition. What we're going to do is look at the definition for a customer master. Then we're going to expand that to the definition to a sales order document header. And after that, I think you'll get the hang of it. So let's proceed with the customer master. Here we are for the configurations. Let me open this up so that we can see the descriptions on these folders. If you remember, account group sold to had STAN for a procedure, and then the ship to had WESR. I believe the best way to show this configuration is to do a real example. So I'm going to create an entire new partner function, add it to the procedure STAN, and then see how it works in the customer master. So to start, we go to the partner functions folder, double click. This list shows all partner functions that already exist in SAP. We're going to create a new one by pressing New Entries. I start by giving it a unique 2-character ID. Let's pick Z1. Give this new partner a description. I'm just going to pick something random like data rep. And we got to tell SAP what type of partner this is going to be. This is going to be a customer partner, so we pick the line that says customer. And I want to go check out that checkbox there. If I open up this description a little better, it says unique. If I select this check mark, that means this particular partner is only allowed once in the customer master. For example, there are multiple ship tos here. If that unique box was checked for the ship to partner, this would not have been allowed. We'll see that in action later on. Okay, so let's go ahead and save our new partner function. Assign the standard transport. And now we got to tell SAP what account groups are allowed to be this type of partner. Click New Entries. Put in my partner of Z1. And I need to associate it with a customer account group, and perhaps we'll use 0007. We can associate Z1 with all types of customer account groups, but for this demo, we're just going to keep it simple. Let's save. And now that we have our new Z1, let's add it to the partner determination procedure of Stan. So what we need to do is highlight the line Stan and double click on the subfolder partner function and procedure. This list is all Stan partners that are allowed. Let's click New Entries for ours. Okay, so the first column is Stan for the procedure. The next one is our partner, which is going to be Z1. I'm going to open up these descriptions so that I can better see what these fields mean. Give me a moment here. So the first column is not modifiable. That means if I check mark this, I would not be able to change it on a customer master. I don't want that. Next one is mandatory function, and no, I don't want every single one of my customers to have this Z1, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. All right, let's see this thing in action. I'm here in the customer master. When you do a change of configuration, it's always good to go back to the home screen and then go in again. Let's do XD02 to change the customer master. This was the customer we were looking at before. And now I will go down and add our Z1. And go ahead and add an appropriate customer number here. Before this demo, I prepared a customer and I will put it in here, the 10241, press return, and I see a John Smith. So we have successfully added our new partner to this customer. So what do you think will happen when we create a sales order now? Will that Z1 get copied over there or not? So let's do an example to see. I'll create a sales order, put in the sold to of 100243. It's asking me to pick a ship to as we did before. Great. Now let's go to the header and take a look at the partners. Nope, it doesn't look like it got copied over. Well, maybe we can add it manually. Let's see what happens. Find our Z1 in our drop down, put in our number here, and no, it doesn't like that either. So, if you remember earlier in the lecture, there was configuration for customer master, sales order header, and a lot of different objects. We only did it for the customer master, so we need to go back and do it for the sales order header as well. Okay, so we're back in configuration. Let's go back a few screens until we get to our list of objects. Okay, so let's do the configuration for sales document header. The procedure that we want to do is TA standard order, and let's go ahead and double click on the partner function procedure to see the details. Click New Entries so that we can add our Z1 partner to standard orders. Once again, these header descriptions aren't shown very well, so let me open them up a little bit. The first one is not modifiable. We're going to leave this open for the user so that they can change the Z1 if they want. The next one is for mandatory. No, we don't want to make the Z1 mandatory on a sales order. We just want to allow it if it exists. And we also see a source field. If this is blank, SAP assumes that the Z1 will come from the sold to. That's good for our example, so we'll leave that here. Let's save this configuration and we will create a new sales order to see how this is all working now. Okay, so since I changed configuration, I go back to the home screen, do VA01 again to get into sales order. Let's use the sold to we've been using before, 100243. Pick our ship to that we've been using. Go to our header, partners tab. And all right, our Z1 came across from the customer master automatically. Notice that this field is open and we can change it if we want. The reason we can do that is in the configuration, we had that check mark for not modifiable and we left it unchecked. Okay, so let's get out of this sales order. I'm not going to save it. Okay, so let's go back to the customer master to discuss a few things. here's the main sold to that we were looking at, and we have our Z1 partner here, which is 100241. So now I want to go to the customer master of the ship to that we've been using on our sales orders. So that is 100242. My question to you is, are we allowed to add a Z1 partner to the customer? I'll give you a moment to think, and let's go ahead and try it out. No, SAP does not allow it. Why is that? Why could we add it to the sold to but not the ship to? Well, let's go back to the configuration and look at it. If you remember, for the customer master, we had the partner determination procedure of STAN, and that was for a sold to. For a ship to, we had the partner procedure of WESR. So if we look at the partners that are allowed on a WESR, we don't see a Z1, so we need to add it here. Okay, as we did before, we're not going to check mark either of these boxes. Press save. Now let's try one more time in the customer master to see if that fixed the problem. Since we just changed configuration, good idea to go back to the home screen, do XD02 to change the customer, and in our ship to, we're going to put in our Z1 and see what happens. Okay, SAP liked that. As you can see, configuration is very specific. Different customer account groups can allow or disallow different partners. I'm actually going to change this from Jane Smith to Julie Smith so that I can show one more thing in the sales order. So let's go create a new sales order and see which Z1 shows up in the sales order. Okay, as we did before, let's go ahead and start. Put in the 100243 and let's pick the second ship to. Navigating to the partners. And the Z1 is actually John Smith, which is not what we put onto the customer master of the ship to. So is there a way to tell SAP to use Julie Smith from the ship to as opposed to John Smith from the sold to? Well, let's get out of the sales order and go back to configuration to take a look. Okay, so we're currently in the screen for the customer master, but we were talking about the sales order header, so let's go back into the sales order document header screen. The TA standard orders are what we were looking for. Double click on there. Let's find our Z1 entry. Here it is. And I'm going to remind you about the source field. If you remember, blank assumed a sold to. But if we want the source to be a ship to, what we need to do is find the partner ship to. And here we go, right here. So I'm telling SAP, when you create a sales order, you should get the Z1 partner from the ship to. And let me put a sequence number of 2. Don't worry about that. That's a technicality. I'll let you explore that on your own if you want. Let's try out this new configuration by creating a sales order. Go back to the home screen because we just changed some configuration. VA01. Let's go ahead and enter. As usual, let's do 100243 for the sold to. Let's pick the ship to of 242. Let's go to the header, partners, and yes, our Z1 is now Julie Smith, which pulled from the ship to. That's exactly what we were looking to do. Very good. So let's get out of this sales order. I'm not going to save. The last thing I want to cover is what is a partner function conversion? Let me open this up here so we can see these folders a little better. So I want you to imagine that we have end users and for whatever reason they're having a tough time remembering that a Z1 is a data rep. If we had known that before we started, we could have called this a DR instead of a Z1 and that maybe would have helped them with data rep to remember. But we're kind of stuck because there was already a bunch of Z1s put onto the customer master and some sales orders and they're all over the place. On top of that, DR may help our users in the US who speak English, but in Mexico, in Spanish, RD probably makes more sense. So with partner function conversion, SAP gives you the ability to translate your 2-character code into something that makes more sense. So let's translate RZ1 into DR for English. Well, I put Z exclamation point, not correct. Let's put Z1. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's save this and let's go to the customer master to check this out. Okay, so look here. It says DR for data rep, not Z1. The reality is SAP is still storing the value of Z1 in tables, but when it shows to a user in English, it'll say DR. Very good. So let's go look at some conversions that already exist. For example, payer is RG, but it's being translated into PY. You can see why that's a good translation for English. Bill to, RE goes to BP. And then a very common one of sold to says AG, but when we see it, it says SP. That makes a lot of sense. The reason I'm putting such an emphasis on this is because when you start doing more technical things like debugging or looking at iDocs, those use the unconverted values. If you're not familiar with this conversion, that can be very confusing. So I'm just trying to help you avoid some future confusion. Okay, so let's go back to our list of objects that we have. We did configuration for the customer master. We also did it for the sales document header. Technically, you can have partners on the sales document items. In other words, each material on your sales order, but that's not very common. I will let you explore delivery, shipment, bill header. They're all very similar, and you should now have the tools to figure out all the little details. This configuration is one of the more confusing ones, so you might want to watch the video again if you have any doubts. Thank you very much. My name is Keith Milford, and I hope you enjoyed this video.